Shankar, ready to go?
Yes, sir. Streaming started.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Another edition of our evening talk. Very warm welcome to each one of you. And today's talk is something special because it's being organized by the Women Business Forum. And also, Subha Kumar is very, very close to MMA. She's going to be talking to us. And at least I'll walk miles to listen to Subha Kumar. She's one person who has a very clear clarity of thought. It was a pleasure working with her to present some great events in MMA. Very warm welcome to Shubha. And before I wait for some of the people who are logging in, there are a couple of you in the queue. I thought I will share with you some of the important events happening. I know there's so many events what we do. The fatigue is not Zoom fatigue, but you have a lot of MMA fatigue. But we are not going to leave you. We are going to bring you some outstanding program day after every day, so that you continue to gain from some of the outstanding thought leaders who come and talk in our platform. What's happening tomorrow is the 15th of September, Wednesday, is a discussion on the theme of the book Attention Factory. It's very, very interesting. It's a story behind TikTok. You know, TikTok got banned, but you should know how many millions of people got impacted by the TikTok and the changing behavior of the people in the social media. And we want you to listen to that speaker, Matthew Brennan, and he is authority on China. He is the one behind so many programs in China, what happened to the video programming, and he is live in UK and is one of the great speakers all around the world, and he's authority on Chinese internet system, and he will go to demystify is what is all that technology behind TikTok and how it's become so successful, and who the team behind that and what made them so successful. So I think it's very important for you to listen to. Other two special invitees who will be interacting with Matthew is Kripa Shankar, most of them know, is the CEO of Business Blogging. And Nauru Radhakrishnan is again independent consultant, a great professional speaker, TEDx speaker. This is happening tomorrow. Then on the 16th of the Thursday at 6 p.m., Brand Strategy for MSMEs by Bona Rajaram, founder and Beautiful Time. Again, women, we encourage quite a number of women speakers to come and speak, not only in the Women Business Forum, otherwise also a lot of speakers come and go to share their insights. So Bona Rajaram will be again a great insight for you on it's focus totally on MSMEs. He's going to talk about all about branding of MSMEs. Then on the Thursday, 23rd, we have starting and growing the businesses. Rajesh Subramaniam will be talking to us and Balram will be chairing. Again, on Friday, the 24th September, we have a hybrid program at MMA Management Center. Sustainable Development Goals, marching towards global goals. And 25th of September is the World Global Sustainable Development Day. We thought we'll celebrate, it's happening on a Sunday, but for Saturday, we'll celebrate on Friday. Again, we have outstanding speakers who will be talking to us. Vikram Kapoor, Additional Secretary Strategy of Government of Tamil Nadu. Then Pradeep is Head of Corporate Sustainability at Larsen & Toubro. Then Sujata is a Sustainable Development Goal Initiative Head from Government of Tamil Nadu. Rajini Chopra is again Global Head of Business Development, Sustainable Development Goal at VA Tech Wabak. Then Krishnaswamy is again from CSR Park. Aisha, she's the founder of Amara Exports Ambur. And also we have Prabhakar, Executive Vice President, Head of CSR ITC Limited. So we have a power-packed panel. You don't miss it. Come to MMA to watch. If you don't want to come and want to stay safe, you can watch this program. It's a hybrid event. Watch online as usual. Then on 27th of September, till a minute I'm going to take because the people are still logging in. I don't want anybody to miss the opening poll. What's going to be happening today? That's another interesting part of the event today. Lecture on Women Business Forum. Again, Srividya, CEO of Brio Integrated Service, will be talking to us. This is a program again under Women Business Council. As usual, we have Mythili, Babita, and Lata Rajagopalan will be part of the team. Then on Tuesday, the 28th of September, we have a discussion on the theme of the book. Again, very interesting subject where Sangeeta Shankaran Sumesh will be the author, and Pandirajan, former minister, Ram Raj, and Mr. C.K. Ranganathan will be joining the team. So this is what is happening this evening. Some of the future programs, what has been listed for the month. We also listed all the program for the month of October and November. Do log in, you can watch them. Coming to today's event, Gem of an Idea. It's again, Subha Kumar will be talking to us very, very interesting insights on how the entrepreneurial journey, especially what's happening with women, and the whole context will be set by the Lata. And I also warmly welcome Shubha, Lata, and Mythili. Mythili is also chairing our Women Business Forum, and she's been a force behind driving us to bring in some outstanding thought leaders to come and speak to women thought leaders. And coming to today's event, as I mentioned to you, Gem of an Idea by Subha Kumar, and the special invitees for this evening, Mythili, Chandrasekar, Lata Rajagopalan, and Babita Baruah. She may join, but this is all the thing. And to start with, the program format will be after I warmly welcome all the viewers watching the program live from all over India. As usual, you have a question, please, all those who are watching the logged in and Zoom, please type your question in the chat box. The speaker will be more than happy to delighted to respond to all your queries, and please fix your queries focused only on the theme of the discussion today. All the viewers watching the program live on various social media portal, the number flashed on your screen. Please do type your question, and we'll be delighted to compile them and place it before the thing. And after the opening remark today, I will now request Mythili Chandrasekaran, who is part of a Women Business Council, to set the context of what is the Women Business Council. And Mythili is over 35 years of consumer behavior and brand strategy. You all know Mythili has been talking to us regularly in the last so many months. And now I request Mythili Chandrasekaran to share opening remark. Over to you, Mythili.
Thank you, Group Captain. And welcome everyone once again to an evening with the Women's Business Forum of the Madras Management Association. As many of you who attend these programs regularly would know, we are really trying to look at three pillars that go towards getting more women into the workforce. There is women in employment. While the numbers of women in education is increasing and in some areas even superseding men, the numbers seem to be falling when it comes to women in the workforce. So what's happening to all these educated women? Why are they falling off? So one thing we need to understand is, why don't women enter the workforce in the first place? While they enter the workforce, we also know that mid-career many women drop off, mostly because of trying to balance family and work. And then, of course, there is the glass ceiling issue. The second or the third pillar really is women as entrepreneurs. Research earlier and our own surveys has shown that there are 4 or 5 large impediments. There is self-doubt in the first place. There is a diffidence about lack of knowledge of financial management. There is perhaps not enough networking, not enough guidance and mentoring right through, and not inability to give not more than 5 to 6 hours a day, which then leads to inability to scale up, and then not have enough bargaining power to really realize the vision that they started with. So as we listen to more and more of entrepreneurs, even Subha today, what we would like as feedback from the women and the men who attend these programs is really, as the ecosystem becomes a little friendlier for more women to become entrepreneurs, what is it that a forum like the Women's Business Forum of a management association, what can it best be used for? What would the women like the most? For example, we now have a panel of mentors available, and Subha herself would be willing to give her time going forward. The MMA has created access to a panel of venture capitalists. What is it that we should be doing? Is it a course in financial management? Is it life skills? Is it just building confidence and teaching people how to pitch their ideas? Should we be creating a bank of ideas, or should we be bringing women together? Maybe there are 5 or 6 women with the same kind of idea, and it may be easier for them to start off something together than each one start something alone. So should we help them in aggregating their ideas and their abilities and their time, and then therefore take off? Or would they like to learn more about how to negotiation skills or how to manage labor? What is it? What are the 1 or 2 things that we can best do to help women who wish to be entrepreneurs to come up and fulfill their dreams? And of course, in the process, as we all know, it's now a much quoted figure that increasing women's contribution in the workforce can lead to a significant increase in the GDP. With that being the ultimate aim, today we have yet another a wonderful entrepreneur speaker to inspire, guide, motivate, and I pass it on to Lata to introduce her specifically.
Good evening, everybody. To use a cliche, Subha Kumar is not a new name and needs no introduction. Nevertheless, she's she's Chennai resident and has spoken in several forums in Chennai. Many of you would have heard her before. She is the managing director of Natesan Group. It's a market leader in automotive and aerospace industry, catering to OEMs and tier 1s globally. Natesan has received prestigious Technology Development Award from the Government of India and Marquee Best Product Innovation Award from industry body and numerous awards from customers. Subha has been instrumental in creating their state-of-art DSIR, recognized R&D center, and led commercialization of numerous technologies developed in-house as well as in partnership with global technology leaders to create new businesses. Subha has been instrumental in Natesan's foray in aerospace. Prior to Natesan, she has held senior leadership roles in Applied Materials, it's a Fortune 500 company in USA, and she created over 1 billion in new markets, was instrumental in mergers and acquisitions, led 6 Sigma initiatives, and improved product quality and reliability to achieve numerous customer awards. Subha is chairperson of the Southern Region and National Steering Committee member of Automobile Component Manufacturers Association, which is ACMA. She was president of IIT Madras Alumni Association Global till just now. We heard that she's handed over the baton to someone. The first woman to be elected to this role in an institution where women have been a super minority. She is board member of Automobile Network of Young Presidents Organization, the YPO International, and member of the advisory board of the Center of Excellence in Advanced Manufacturing and Materials of Deakin University, IIT Madras, and IIT Hyderabad. She has been recognized in the 50 Women Achievers in STEM in India, a book published by CII. She holds an MBA from Stanford University, an MS from Massachusetts, and a BTech from IIT Madras. So we really look forward, Subha, to what you have to say to us about your entrepreneurship journey today. Over to Subha.
Thank you, Lata. Lata, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Please continue.
Yeah. Before I start, I just had a quick question, a poll for the audience here. So Group Captain, if you could turn it on. I know we have a lot of people more.
Shankar, can you please host the poll, please? Shankar? Yes. Yeah. The poll starts now. It's clear. Do you believe you can pick winning ideas to build a business through the systematic process? Yes or no? Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So I think that
you can keep it on, right? For some time?
Yeah, no, that's all. She got the idea. The 91%. Okay. Yes, that's the basic intention. Yes. Okay, we'll go ahead. Okay, Shankar, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. So
you can end poll. Yeah. Yeah, 91% says yes, madam, and 9% no.
Yes, please. Yes. So thank you. Can you stop the poll, please? Group Captain, I'm not able to stop the poll.
Yeah, you're doing it. Can you stop the poll and give a screen share to madam?
I'll stop the poll, sir. Poll stopped.
Madam, your screen share you can start now.
I have screen share.
You can just click the arrow button, ma'am. One minute, I'll call you back. You can click on arrow button, or you can close. Just a second. I will stop your screen sharing, and you can
again start, madam. Okay.
Okay, we'll do that.
Yeah, you can now stop.
You try now.
Share now. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I think we have a great audience here because I'm not going to say anything new that you already don't know. So I think my presentation is going to be fairly brief because all of you already believe that through a systematic process that you can identify and identify a winning idea. I think when I had the early discussions with Lata, she mentioned that maybe, many people who are starting out are probably not that clear that it can be done in a systematic way. And that was the origin of why we thought this could be an interesting topic. Nevertheless, I wouldn't bore you for too long if I'm preaching to the choir. So basically, I'm going to share a 6-step process, which I've found pretty helpful for me. I think in the background that was shared about me, there are maybe 1 or 2 things that I could add. I've been trying to, commercialize various businesses for a long time since I was in college. And I have failed in those efforts as well and learned a lot from them. And those are not in this, introduction that was made. If I were to talk about it, this is a process that I started out using. So there was also a time when I worked with IBM in their research division, commercializing their technology before I joined Applied Materials. And in Applied Materials, like Lata introduced, I've done a lot of, so my team was responsible for developing new businesses from scratch. They're already a very large company. So entering new markets where they have a fairly large, significant position in the market spaces that they operate was not a very easy task. But there were lots of ideas floating around, and we basically wanted to come up with a systematic process of doing that. So the way I've structured the presentation is not just for entrepreneurs who are starting out. It could be for entrepreneurs, it could be for entrepreneurs. This applies for anybody trying to build or grow a business. So the first step is to really clarify what the vision and goal is. I'd say, what do you want to achieve? Is it short term, long term? What are the revenue timelines that you're looking at? How quickly do we need to do it? What sort of a company do you want to build? If it is for a company, do you want to build a lifestyle business, or do you want to build a public company? The two are very different. I think you would know that. And if you're going to raise money, you need to show very large growth. So that's the next question is how important is growth? What is the size of the revenue? Unless it's a large business and a very rapidly growing business, taking companies public would be a challenge. Lifestyle business is not a wrong thing. It doesn't mean a mom and pop shop. It could also mean a very large size business, but just not go on public. I would say more than 90% of companies are in that category, which are non-public. I would not necessarily lifestyle, but could also be non-public. And the last dimension is profitability. Do we look at the revenue alone, or do we look at profitability, or do we look at GMV, as a lot of these newer age companies are looking at, where profitability comes last or maybe even an afterthought. So these are very important criteria for one to be clear about, because once you're clear about this, then the next steps become fairly easy. The second step I would say is you need to generate the ideas. So you could brainstorm, go to industry conferences, talk to customers, identify their pain points, identify what the customer spends are from various research reports, talk to suppliers, talk to the competition. If it's more B2C, you could set up focus groups. Even in B2B, you could set up focus groups specific for the kinds of ideas you're trying to look at, which could be viable. And I think Andy Grove talked about the strategic inflection point. This is one thing that I think is a very, very important concept, where the industry, how the industry functions changes dramatically if there is an inflection point, and the competition is different, the rules of the game change, and existing companies need to change their behavior to adapt to this situation, and they could grow, or if they don't adapt right, they could decline and fail. Now, why are we talking about this concept in the concept of ideas is, I think there are lots of inflection points that are happening in the market. It could be government policies, for example, Bitcoins. There are lots of discussion about how India is going to rule on these. We're talking about EV policies. So government drives a number of policies that could become large threats or opportunities. Threats if you're an existing business and don't change, or opportunities if you're looking at entering into a new space. For example, the autonomous driving, you're looking at, telematics. You could look at a lot of changes that are happening. There are safety policies that are coming in, and so on. Second is, there are large global trends. For example, people are all talking about, having this sort of food, having more organic food, clean, sustainability is other thing that's largely talked about. So these again drive a lot of opportunities for new businesses and startups to play. New technologies, I think like the Bitcoin we talked about, could also be from a new technology being available that is creating certain opportunities that didn't exist. We've seen this in the .com when the internet started being available to consumers. Large opportunities came up, and companies which are able to take advantage of these inflection points, not once, but repeatedly, are the ones that really build very large, sustainable businesses. So this would be something to look out for. And new business models. This is again something that's very interesting because, for example, when Google started offering their businesses for free, nobody believed something could be available for free. I think today we take it for granted and don't want to pay for anything that's online. But really it changed the basis of how things were done. So it could also be, inflection points could be caused by your competition as well. So I think if we look at these areas and come up with a short list of areas we'd like to play, this could also be for an individual trying to start a business for their own. The next step would be basically to prioritize the ideas that one has. So first step is ensure that whatever ideas you want to shortlist will meet your vision and goals you set out for yourself on the first outset. Is there a strategic fit to what you want to do? Meaning, does it leverage your strengths? Can you bring something to the table that makes you the particularly advantageous person to play in this space? The next one, I think I just talked about inflection points a lot. If there is an inflection point in the near future or happening right now, I think it's a great opportunity to ride that wave because a rising tide can move up a lot of the boats. If there is a window of opportunity, again, here there could be a first mover advantage. If those exist, I think, again, that's an opportunity I would say one could take on. If there's a strong pull from the customer, if there's a way to mitigate risk, and I'll talk about risk. So what I've taken the liberty of is to modify Ansoff's matrix, which basically talks about existing products, existing markets, and new products and new markets, right? Existing market, new market, and existing product, new product. I've added new to the world products, and I've also added a risk color coding here, just to give you an idea. So if you're in an existing market and an existing product, obviously the risk is very low because you're going to make incremental improvements, but also you're not doing anything new. So this is not growing much. It'll grow you by little and won't get you, much reward as well. If you're looking at an entrepreneur, they're probably playing, it's completely a new market because they don't maybe have an existing business. I'm talking from a scratch entrepreneur. If they're building on an existing business, of course, they could be anywhere in the spectrum. If at all possible, and you have number of ideas, and if you have two equal ideas, choose the one that has lower risk because obviously that could, help you succeed better and faster. This is something that we used very extensively in screening out certain ideas or prioritizing the order of development of various ideas. And so where this comes is extend existing products into new markets. I think moving up here would be a very easy option. Maybe you adapt to the market, make some changes, but you're still opening up a completely new market, which creates new opportunities. You could productize things which you're giving away as goodwill services, not necessarily monetizing today, but you have the expertise to deliver that product or service. And if you can monetize it, then those are again nice, easy wins that one could look at. The fourth step in this is, once you've chosen your top few ideas that you want to go after, my practice has been to develop a preliminary business proposal. At this point, there are a few things that we need to put on paper, which is, what is the customer need? What problem are we trying to solve? What is the exact business activity? This is very, very important. If we don't specify the details of what we are exactly the business is, it can be very ambiguous. We could talk about very large market segments, not specific offerings that we are making in the market. We should talk about what is the size of the market. Again, if it's raising money, this becomes a very important activity. What is the value proposition? What is the value we bring to the customer? Why would they want to buy our product or service? What will be the differentiation? Not necessarily technical differentiation, something that makes us unique that the customer wants to buy from us. And if the business has multiple revenue streams, these are always very exciting. For example, if you sell a printer, then we could then go on and sell cartridges, and then you can go and sell services for it. So one business then creates additional revenue streams that are very attractive and strategic fit. So, and the last thing is, if there are going to be any challenges we anticipate at this very preliminary level to reach the revenue or profit goals that we've set out in our vision document. Once we do this, a lot of ideas will drop out, because this helps us screen through a number of ideas and pick out really what we think could be winners, what looked like a one could now move down and something else could pop up. And this has been our experience in trying to build these businesses. And it's not just at Applied Materials that I've used these. I've also done this in the manufacturing setup. So it works for various industries. So Applied Materials is into semiconductor capital equipment. They're into services. They're into flat panel display. They're into solar, again, products and services and spares. They're also into the subfab, which is basically abatement equipment. They're into software, which manages the entire fab. And with IBM, I've had experience in developing software products for businesses, and in Natesan is more focused on manufactured, designed products for automotive and aerospace. So whatever I'm saying applies to any type of business. It's not restricted to this. Most of my experience has been in business to business. But I don't see why this cannot work for a business to consumer model. The same methodology should work. And this is something that I think is a interesting concept that we came up with, which is, if you're actually riding on a boat and you first create waves, but then you also create a large wake in its wake, right? At the back of it, you have a large wake that's coming up. And so it's not just this one business opportunity that you can create with this business. So the first business is the one that you're seeing in the front, but this big tail that you see at the back is a large opportunity, and the sequence of businesses that can be created behind a first business that goes through. What this does is, once you've created an opportunity, set up something with the customer, the way to scale and grow that and create multiple more opportunities becomes very easy, or easier, I would say, than starting from scratch. So in general, I preferred choosing businesses that can create a sustainable stream of businesses rather than creating point solutions. For example, I just solved one single problem for a customer, but that has no further application beyond that. yes, it brings in revenue. It may be a new product. It could be a new market, but may not create these waves and wakes that are created by a board. So using that analogy, this is something that we found working very effectively. One other lesson learned is basically stop projects that are not promising. As soon as you find out that they're not promising, even if you've gone halfway, 3/4 way, it's better to cut your losses at the earliest so that you can move on to more exciting opportunities and pick the right opportunity or pivot and do what is right than continuing down a hole that doesn't take us anywhere. The fifth step is to segment the customers. I'm not going to talk about it. This is basically marketing 101. Segment your customers, know who they are, what they are, and how big their spends are. Slightly varies between B2B and B2C, but basically, segment them, figure out what the needs are. Because, for example, I had a person reach out to me and say, I want to get into this space, which is, say, telematics, but this can be used in market A, B, C, and insurance, or maybe an individual or an OEM. And each of these is a different segment. And what problem you're trying to solve for all of them will be different. The need for those market segments is different. The regulations are different. So how you try to go about using your segmentation is very, very important. You could segment, for example, in the semiconductor world, we could segment the market based on the life cycle in which the fabs are. You could segment on what is on the top of the fab and below the fab. So it could depend on the size of the chips that they are producing. So I think these are various ways one could segment. You choose the one that makes most sense for your specific application. And lastly is identify the target segment that you want to do. Again, I'm not going to talk about basic strategy stuff, but this is listen to the customer. I can't overemphasize. I failed a lot because the voice of the customer was not clearly understood. There was no real, the customer, there was a nice technology, maybe a good market, but the customer was not ready to pay for that product or service at that point. Maybe you're too early for the market. Doesn't mean the idea is bad, just the customer is not ready for it yet. This happens a lot. So this is very important. Then follow the 5 forces model, which is standard strategy stuff, which I'm sure all the management folks here would know. And see how it combines with your core capabilities. If all of these make sense and you could rank order your various segments that you could go after, it's quite easy to figure out what is the most attractive segment that you want to go after. And then you develop a roadmap of what are the products and services you'd like to build out. And for each of those, you need to build a detailed business plan. You could ask me, why do you do a business plan at this stage? Why not, maybe in step 4, where I said, we need to be very particular in putting things on paper and defining what exactly is the business, because that helps screen out before we do a lot of work in the space. And if one has to do this as a full-time job and create lots of new businesses, I think this process really worked for us there. With that, I think the next step after you've created a business plan, of course, is do the funding, raising, and all the good stuff. But things become easy if you've thought through all these things. Answering your investors, pitching, and raising funds becomes a lot easier. Of course, that's just the beginning. And after this, during product development, the last thing I'd like to say is follow a very detailed stage-wise product development process, because the stages help you again to redirect or change strategy as required. Thank you very much. I think with that, I'll stop the formal presentation and open it up to questions. Thank you.
Lata, you have to unmute yourself. And Shankar, you're unable to unmute, Lata.
Yes, sir.
Lata, madam, unmute பண்ண முடியல. கோர்ஸ் தான அவங்க. Mythili, in the meanwhile, you can go ahead
Shall I
with your
go
question.
first? Yeah, till
Lata,
she
yes,
comes online.
yes, please.
So thank you very much, Shubha. That was, I mean, that was really intense and advanced, I would say, in your thinking. So I have a couple of questions. The first one is, you talked about inflection points, right? And for example, what might be something that happens in the environment which unleashes a flood of women entrepreneurs to come back and start? You know, it's not let's imagine that they're not part of a bigger company.
Yeah.
What could possibly happen that can trigger a wave of women entrepreneurs suddenly rising?
I think there are policies the government is trying to do, and there are subsidies that government gives for women entrepreneurs. If there are funds set up for women entrepreneurs that fund women, there are some VC friends of mine where in general it's much harder for women to get funded by venture capitalists. So if there are funds which target such women-founded companies, I'm sure there would be more women entrepreneurs. These are things that could change in the ecosystem. These are policies. If there are other impediments, for example, good daycare for kids in the country, could help. Not just depending on extended family for support. So there are a lot of such infrastructure or policy-related changes that could help bring this wave.
Excellent.
If I may.
Because as we talk to more and more people like you, this is what we are discovering, that it's not just about telling women that you should go out and start, but it's all really dependent on creating a more favorable and friendly ecosystem, and for women to get to know that these facilities are available. But more than that, so I'll tell you, I mean, long back, people used to say that when India first won Miss Universe and Miss World, is when the beauty industry kind of got unleashed. Till then, it wasn't even a good thing to want to be beautiful. Marketing presentations would say that character is more important than beauty. But as the years rolled by, that thing changed completely. Earlier, it was that beauty is about how the world looks at you. Then it became that beauty is about how you look at the world. So I'm just again probing your mind and just picking your brain on what might happen. Like, is it that 3 or 4 women entrepreneurs make it big? What can happen that can really open it up? I'm not sure. Just one, some funds and some daycare. And of course, you can think about it and tell us later. But what we want from people like you is to really understand this whole tipping point thing in a much larger way.
Sure, we'll take it. We'll think about it. This is not something that I've thought much about on how what could be inflection points, but we can certainly think about it. Yeah. Thanks, Mythili.
Since now I'm unmuted, I can say it now. Subha, although I had discussed this topic with you earlier at length on a call, I have to confess now that I actually did not know it could be structured so well. An idea to entrepreneurship, there seems to be a structured journey. So for me also, it was an enlightenment. I like the way you presented it. There was a lucidity about it at the same time, a little bit of a mystery with, certain ideas, you could try it. It was very interesting. Thank you very much for the presentation. To add to what Mythili said, we often discuss in our meetings what could possibly trigger entrepreneurship or help women in entrepreneurship. And periodically, when we have talked to people, one thing that often comes up, and we have discussed it again and again, is knowledge of finance, knowledge of business. Sometimes you have an idea which is technology based or consumer based, but are the women equipped with financial knowledge, planning, So that is a big challenge. That kind of education or understanding is a big challenge. My first question to you is, you've had both backgrounds. You've had an IT background, technology background, as well as business school, the leading business school. Not everybody can have this dual background. So a lot of people have dreams, ideas, students or graduates, and they may not be from top business schools or top education institutions like this. What is their solution? How do they gather the courage and information that they need? Is there any way that you can prescribe for them?
Yeah, Lata. So this is actually there's no one person who does the whole thing. It's actually a team. A single entrepreneur is a myth. It's the founding team. So you build yourself a very complementary team. If you don't have knowledge in finance, you get yourself. So what the founding team needs to have, one needs to figure out whether you need a finance person, or you need somebody else who has overall business understanding, and maybe you hire a CFO. So those are decisions that can be made, but build a complementary team. I think it's very simple. Anybody can do this.
Right. So it's about putting the right people together.
Putting the right people, yeah. And basically, VCs look at what's the team composition, and is this team going to be capable of executing and achieving the business plan that they set out to? Right. So I would not put too much gender into this. I think it's more about building a very balanced team that can get the job done.
Yeah. Okay.
With the right skill set.
And just one other question. You have given us a clear, I would say it's like a roadmap. And would that apply to a very small businesswoman or a very small idea, very localized business? Can you apply such theories like the answer of matrix, or the BCG also has a matrix? Can these be applied to individuals at very small levels? How do you go about it?
Yeah, you can definitely apply each of the steps to a individual. In fact, when I created the presentation, I had this in mind, specifically also looking at how would it apply to an individual looking to start, let's say, a corner shop, right? Not necessarily a global scale, not a lifestyle business. So it very much applies there. So you set your goals of what sort of revenue you would like. You still need to have revenue. I would say in this case, more important to have profits. I think there are some questions running around in the chat box on profits. Yeah. But if you're running a lifestyle business, profits are very, very, very important. No, you don't have a deep-pocketed venture capitalist money to burn. So you need to, make your ends meet. Right. You're probably borrowing or taking friends and family money. So need to be paid back. So those apply, and all the things about, do you have a customer? Is somebody going to pay for your business? These are things which are really very important. What is the specific offering you want to do? How are you going to be different from the neighboring guy who offers the same product or service? So the kinds of questions I'm asking are no different, whether irrespective of the size and scale of the business. These are business fundamentals, I feel, that need to be looked at. And that's why I said I've used it in very different industries, and it applies to all scenarios with some tweaks.
Thank you. I think there are a lot more questions. So
I'll just ask one more before handing over to the audience. So correct me if I'm wrong. It seems to me that, let's say, a bunch of women, or I know it applies to both men and women, but I'm just taking women because this is the point. Let's say a bunch of women have an idea. It seems to me that there is an opportunity in itself of a business plan of a company, of a small bunch of people, to help them create a business plan to go to the VC. Would that be one of the most crucial needs to somebody, a panel of people, say a marketing, finance, technical, and somebody else, who can look at that idea and help for a fee and help that person shape it, maybe do the market research and actually create the business plan so that they can then go forward, because not everybody has the skills to create that case. Would you think that itself is an opportunity for a bunch of people to put together, or do such companies already exist?
So your question is there an opportunity to help budding entrepreneurs to create a business plan? Is there a
My
business
question
plan?
is that one of the most key needs to help women entrepreneurs to come up, help with creating a market sustainable and business plan in the first place?
I don't know if that is the most important. I'm sorry, I'm not. Difficult for me to answer that question.
Thank you. Over to the audience, Group Captain.
Thank you, Subha. As usual, great insight, and we have over 460 people watching various social media portals. Before, I got a couple of questions from the YouTube and Facebook. Before that, Subha would like to take on the question which has come in the chat box, starting with Krishnan Narayanan.
So Krishnan Narayanan is a dear friend and the person who succeeded me at IIT Madras Alumni Association. He's the president of the current president of IIT Madras Alumni Association. Thanks for being here, Krishnan. So loaded question. What's your view of irrational valuation and exuberance around the startups and they are severely loss-making, spend money to acquire customers? So my take is, I think there is a value to it. And that is why money is chasing it. I don't believe whether it's rational or irrational. I think it's different. But they create value. They create capability that doesn't exist today, even if some of the companies disappear. The few that survive have probably changed the world forever in a very positive way. So that would be my thought. Did I answer that question?
Yes, Krish, you can put on your video and come if it's comfortable for you. You have been made a co-host. And
right. Thanks, Shubha. I mean, that's definitely one useful thing for the world, but at the cost of somebody. As long as somebody is willing to fund the money, why not? Yeah. I love my Ubers and Zomatos.
So good lifestyle. Yeah.
Krish, all the best.
But thank you, Krishnan. The next question is: what phase of business cycle does the idea need to be generated? Are the steps the same for all phases? Mr. Karchand, clarification, you mean business cycle as in, in the infancy, your growth phase, your mature and decline? Are these the 4 phases you're talking about, or is there any other phase of business you're talking about? Okay, if I'm assuming that is the case, I would say, hopefully you do this before your business starts declining, so you can create the next set of products that are out there in the market. But you should ideate and build and grow your business as soon as you're ready, after having processed the products you've already tried to develop. So maybe in the nascent phase, you should focus on the business you're already building. But in the growth phase, you're probably going to be ramping up. As long as you have enough bandwidth to look at new ideas and put them in the pipeline, I would say that would be a good time to start. But definitely in the mature phase, one should be looking at these ideas and building out the same. Are the steps same for all phases? Yeah. As far as ideation is concerned and choosing the winning ideas, the process is the same irrespective of which part of the business cycle one is in. Hope that answers. If there are any follow-on questions, please type it up. Agree that customer spend gives an idea about the idea. Whether low spend or high spend is a trigger for idea generation. If both, how would you differentiate the idea generation? So if the customer spend is a large number on a particular product or service, then it gives you an opportunity. Even if you get a small share of it, you're likely to be a sustainable business. If it's very small and it gets splits multiple ways, you're unlikely to get much of the pie, even if you do a lot of development. So it was in that context that I'd said that maybe you want to look at something that's, the size of spend becomes critical. This is by Dr. Hariharan. Okay, the next one is Susinder. Dr. Hari and ideas should essentially fulfill a need. It needs to be offering a solution. The idea should originate from thinking through the opportunities that exist. Business plan and proposal is an important part of the procedure. Okay. Thank you. I think that's, those are the questions on the chat box.
Yes. Now I move on to the Facebook, the couple of questions which has come. Here, Mr. Ramakrishnan from Coimbatore, what he wants to know is thank for the lovely presentation. What do you see as the biggest challenge for a woman entrepreneur? Which one has been the most interesting entrepreneurship project led by a woman, which you think the woman should choose when they want to plunge into entrepreneurship?
Which one do I think is the most interesting? I think, Dr. Kiran Mazumdar is a fascinating story of what she's built. As she started out on an idea which was not well understood at that point in time. She braved a lot of challenges and built an amazing, sustainable business. So that would be my, example of something that's been done amazingly well by a woman entrepreneur. There are many. This is just one that I would say is truly outstanding.
Thank you. This is a question from Rajalakshmi from Coimbatore. This is a question that comes in most of the time when we discuss about entrepreneurship. How can we change the mindset shift of Indian mindset that when more women could be urged to work even after the marriage? Otherwise, the marriage becomes an impediment in pursuing their habit of entrepreneurship and success. How do we change the mindset in the Indian family context?
Tough question.
It does happen. I know so many women.
I think as society, things are changing. I think more and more women are getting educated. I think the next generations, if you see, are getting more access to education and more access to business. If you look at the IT sector, they employ a large number of women. Yes, there is a dropout of women post-marriage, but one thing that happens is the work from home, for example, is a huge advantage that enables women to run to work and to handle their domestic affairs. But changing society, changing very deep entrenched thoughts, I think is going to take its own own course. But the more and more people can show that they can not. Doing one doesn't mean you're abandoning the other, and you could somehow balance it with help from the ecosystem. Is I think a way when people feel like, okay, you're not abandoning children to go do your business, is when society will change.
Great, madam. This is again question from Mr. Radhakrishnan from Chennai only. What do you want to know? He says you've been part of major organizations like I mentioned IIT Madras and also regional president of ACMA. What, in his opinion, what do you think the government can do to promote entrepreneurship and women, especially women entrepreneurs? Is the government doing enough to encourage more women to come forward other than giving some few concessions and reservations and income tax benefit?
No,
what do you think?
More can be done. More can be done.
Any specific area you think? Yes.
Yeah, I'm no policy expert. Like I said, I think this goes back to Mythili's point on the policy angle. I think if this is truly a question on a lot of people's mind, I would suggest maybe a committee is formed to look into what are the policies that we need to do, and really think through it. I think I will be doing great injustice to be answering something like this offhand. I don't think I'm qualified to answer a policy question on women entrepreneurship. I do a lot of policy talking on auto components, but not on women specific issues. So while we've done a lot of programs for women professionals, Society of Women Engineers, and so on, not specifically on women entrepreneurship, but I think that something needs more thought and put together a document. And I'm sure the government would be open. I see the government open on a lot of topics when they hear inputs from the various industry bodies.
Yes.
Maybe a good time
yes.
to do that.
Including the financing, advice, banking. I think quite a bit of work being done. I think they have to go to the MSME website and see that.
Yeah, there is a lot of things that are available. So what I'd say is there are a lot of incentives available for MSMEs, which women entrepreneurs can also take advantage of. I don't think they need to be gender specific. I don't know if you're even aware of all the benefits that are available today for all entrepreneurs. especially the micro entrepreneurs. There's a lot of subsidies, there's a lot of money. If you set it up in backward areas, there's just lots of money floating around in Tamil Nadu, as well as, different states have different policies, since I handle about the other southern states as well. I know Karnataka has policies. I know Tamil Nadu has policies. So each state has state-specific policies. So there are also startup policies at a national level. So I've not looked at it with the women's lens, but I've looked at it from a startup and an entrepreneurship ecosystem. I'd say I think things are looking much better. You can start a company much faster. You can register one. You can register yourself as a startup. I think things are looking much more positive now overall as a country for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, true, ma'am. I think the ease of doing business, we come way ahead in terms of ranking and all. Now, there's a question from Mr. Francis from Pondicherry. He says, why do we Indians don't celebrate failures? And there's always a stigma attached to the failures, especially when you do innovation. The failures it's the way of life. So how do we come out of the mindset, especially in Indians, that you consider failure is a stigma?
Yeah, I think more and more people who have overcome failures and then been successful talk about their failures. And that is when, it gets normalized.
Yeah.
I think it's very important that we all acknowledge. I don't think anybody's life or trajectory is a straight line up. It's all lots of ups and downs. I think we just don't take enough time to acknowledge what we've learned from our mistakes. And I believe you learn much more from your mistakes and failures than you do from your successes, because they don't teach you as much. So I think it's a responsibility for all of us to share our failures and to make our next generation at least feel like it's perfectly okay to not success is not the only way to be in life. Everything, learning from your mistakes is success, in my opinion.
True, man. In fact, we have a series in MMA where we showcase success story of it was done, and all the success they speak about failures for about earlier stages, then only come to the actual success actually. So yep. I think we should have a serious failures, how it was avoided and became a success. Yep. We'll do that. It is a question from Sunita from Chennai. She's an entrepreneur. She says, "Madam, you spoke about vision and goals, and short term was the long term." I said, when we find it so difficult to survive even for a short term in terms of entrepreneurship, our journey, do you think, how do we really look at long term goals when we are not even able to survive at short term? How do we prepare our mindset to face similar situations in our entrepreneurship journey?
So I think that's really why I had said, so if your goal, if we are in the survival mode, we can't look at long term. It's not practical, right? One has to survive the short term to be able to live for the long term. Nice, all grandiose plans for 10 years hence is not going to be there if we don't survive through the first year, right? Or the second year. So in that case, then I would choose projects which can give quick revenue. I won't worry so much about the large market, have short wins, quick wins. That's why we look at products which can turn around without large investments, smaller investments, quicker turnaround cycles. So it's about choosing the kinds of projects which fit the life stage you're in or the business cycle you're in. So if you're in the early stage, so that would be the thought. Doesn't mean you don't have a long-term vision. You would have a long-term vision, but not pick a project which has a gestation of 5 years to come to fruition. Pick a shorter gestation project that can yield revenues quicker.
There's a question for Rajshri. She is doing an MBA. She wants to become an entrepreneur. What she says, as a woman entrepreneur, how do we, the brainstorming can help me, and how can we take forward? And whom should I really pick up the brainstorming? I get so much of input, which one to take, which one to avoid. How do we come to a conclusion during a brainstorming session with some of my colleagues where we want to do something on an entrepreneurial journey?
Right. So I hope that the presentation I walked through is answering this exact question. So when I basically took this job of, head of strategy and business development, my job was to build the growth pipeline. There were hundreds of ideas floating around. Everybody walking around had an idea how the company should grow, but it was impossible. But we weren't doing anything with any of those ideas because it's just a lot of mess, too many things floating around. So it's good to compile all the ideas, but then start systematically going through this process. And that's why I articulated a process of choosing the ideas that one can go after to win. So that was the whole point of my presentation. So I would suggest maybe, thinking through those steps and
great. I think we'll produce this in our business mandate so that large number of people will continue to watch and read also. I think we got another 2-3 minutes. I'll try and squeeze in at least 1 or 2 questions more before we let you go, madam. And you talked about waves. There's a question from Rajiv Shukla from Nagpur. He says waves for moving boat is perfectly okay. What about a sinking boat? Like entrepreneurs, most of the time we are sinking. How do we control the waves when you are a sinking boat?
Actually, wakes are very, very hard to manage even for boats, right? So your own wake or the wake of your neighboring boat could disturb you and unsettle you. This is something that we need to watch for turbulence in the environment. So I was looking at the idealistic situation of you growing businesses and having other businesses to follow on. But to his point, absolutely, there's a lot of turbulence in the market and one needs to keep yourself abreast of it and be very agile to jump over these turbulences. I think we've been thrown a large googly with this COVID-19 pandemic. So I think these are large, it's also an inflection point in a way. It's an inflection point. Again, all inflection points also are opportunities and threats.
Here's one last question for this evening. Is a question come from Mr. Grover, Chennai. He says, madam, I get a lot of ideas for innovation. I want to do a lot of things every day. I get ideas. How do I identify an idea which is a great potential to be converted to a business opportunity, and what safety net I should construct around this so that I don't even lose what I have made a little bit of money in my business actually. So how do I mean, his basic issue is, how do I control the instinct of thinking about all ideas only all the time? How do I focus on the one which is going good?
Yeah, at some point one has to take idea into action and putting it on paper. That's why I said, you put all your ideas onto paper, make a list, prioritize them based on your, all the set of criteria that I listed out, and try to really build a clear prioritized. I like to think in Excel with numbers and charts, which helps you. You can sort and you can by various parameters you could apply various metrics, but basically some way to prioritize what's important for you. And based on those, you could really bubble up the 1 or 2 ideas that really have potential, and then flesh it out. Ultimately, if a customer pays for your business or service more than what it costs you, you're in the game. And then it's about ensuring you have enough of those customers.
True, madam. Thank you so much, Subha. As usual, it's always fascinating to listen to you. Now I request Mythili and Lata, you have any closing remarks before we move to the final concluding of the session, madam.
There is a question from Mr. Susinder on the chat box. I'm happy to address it offline with it. Thank you.
Okay.
Mythili, you want to say anything? That was that.
Or I can just answer it. The answer to his question is, what can be an adjacent sector to he's manufacturing auto fasteners? What can be an adjacency? I mean, I'm assuming this is cold forging. You could get into other cold forging related products as an extension of your process, or you could get into aerospace, which has fasteners. You could get into industrials that use fasteners. So anywhere that you have fasteners could be an option. So you could look at adjacencies, building on any of the core competencies. You may have a third competency. You're saying you're dealing in spare parts. Maybe you have a distribution network. Maybe you have connects with distributors. Maybe you can take other people's components and put them through your network. I'm sorry, this is a question specific to one person's business. But just off the top of my head, these are the adjacencies I can think of for how your business could be built out into 3-4 different ways. Again, each of these are ideas. You need to flesh out them and prioritize which one would actually pay you money and get you going. So that would be my thought, Mr. Surinder.
Thank you, Subha. Now I'll over to Mythili and Lata for your closing comments before we come to the end of the session.
Would you like to say something, Mythili?
Please.
That was really a very, very nice session. And from the incisive questions, I think you can tell that the quality of participation and the interest the audience had in what you had to say. I also noticed, if I may add, that you are free from gender stereotyping, and I don't think, as far as possible, it's an open level keel, according to you, right? More or less, most of the points that you've discussed are whatever you've mentioned are common to. It's not gender specific.
Not at all.
And I also noticed that you have delved into an area, automotive space and aerospace, which were previously considered male-dominated area, but thanks to people like you, it's no more. Thank you for that very nice session, and to all the participants today. Ms. Subha Kumar has kindly consented to be a mentor if anybody is interested in pursuing entrepreneurship. And if you would like to reach out to her, please let us know. You can write to us. And we look forward to more such lively sessions coming forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lata. Thank you, Lata. Thank you, Shubha. Once again, many thanks from MMA for sparing your valuable time. I always know how busy you are. I used to find it so tough to get you over for many meetings, and I know you spared your valuable time. And I must say that this evening talk of yours is a masterclass, not only in entrepreneurship and ideas. It's also give a lot of insight to the women, or not only why women, more men, what they should be doing when they want to pursue their entrepreneurial dreams. Thank you so much. And as a token of our appreciation, this is what we do when we are separated by the pandemic. On your behalf, MMA, we're pleased to present 200 face masks and also 100 meal sanitizer. This is what we do. We go around the places, my team, and the place around MMA, we are adopted them. We present to them not only the masks, give them rations, we did a number of free vaccination service to them. All this we do because so many speakers come and speak and encourage what makes really MMA going from strength to strength. And on your behalf, we keep doing this. Thank you so much, Subha Kumar. Thanks, Mythili, and thanks, Lata, for really facilitating Subha Kumar to come and speak. Though so she is known to MMA, but getting her is so tough. You made it so easy to make her come and speak to us.
Delightful.
Caught me on a weak moment.
It was delightful, absolutely delightful interaction.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Really
thank you, viewers, and all of you stay safe, stay healthy, and please, if you're not taking a jab, take the first one. If you're taking the first one, take the second one. And we wanted you to be healthy and start attending the program at MMA. We have started doing hybrid event and come. I think we are already in endemic, as it has been confirmed by some of the specialists. Pandemic is over. We have to live with it, and so stay safe, stay healthy, keep the social distancing, and still we meet again. Bye bye and good night.
Good night.
Bye bye.
Good night. Thank you.